In the mid-20th century, the American soda fountain projected a pristine image of leisure, a space where teenagers gathered around marble counters to socialize over glasses of carbonated, caffeinated sugar water. But while American youth were curated at the pharmacy counter, exhausted German tank crews were tearing through the European countryside, fueled by millions of tablets of industrial-grade synthetic methamphetamine. While these scenes appear worlds apart, the invention of American youth culture and the mobilization of the Nazi war machine share a common chemical ancestor. A nation's culture of drug consumption is dictated by a stark geopolitical reality, whether its government maintains the maritime power to extract organic stimulants from the global south, or whether it has been entirely locked out of those supply chains. As the 19th century accelerated into the industrial age, physicians began diagnosing the expanding middle class with neurasthenia, a medical condition defined as severe nervous exhaustion caused by the stress of rapid urbanization. To combat this modern fatigue, Western pharmacologists turned toward the flora of the colonial world, specifically targeting the Andean coca leaf and the West African kola nut. Harvesting these distinct botanicals from opposite hemispheres required a logistical operation that spanned the colonial world, funneling raw materials from Peruvian slopes and tropical Hausa trade routes directly into Western laboratories. This global commodity chain enabled Coca-Cola capitalism, a model where corporations functioned as nimble commodity brokers, extracting the value of global trade while insulating themselves from the political and ecological liabilities of physical empire. The early foundation of modern capitalism relied on extracting this botanical energy from the colonized global south to stimulate the exhausted minds of Western workers. With unimpeded access to global maritime trade, American pharmacists were legally permitted to mix coca and cola into unregulated, over-the-counter brain tonics marketed to white-collar professionals. But as these tonics reached working-class black laborers in the South, who used the drug to endure grueling shifts on plantations and docks, white authorities engineered a virulent moral panic. Southern newspapers and politicians fabricated the myth of the violent, superhuman Negro cocaine fiend to justify escalating police brutality and expand the carceral apparatus of the progressive era. Facing an existential threat to its wholesome image, Coca-Cola secretly removed the cocaine from its formula, replacing the lost narcotic payload with a concentrated architecture of caffeine and sugar. This same racialized panic provided the political fuel for the Harrison Act of 1914, which codified a permanent legal boundary between medicine, administered by doctors, and illicit drugs consumed by marginalized populations. With cocaine legally excised, the American public redirected its appetite toward the jukebox-equipped soda shop, a socially acceptable, clinical-looking sanctuary for the emerging mid-century teenager. Yet the idealized soda shop was also a monument to exclusion, masking the imperial origins as ingredients behind the rigid racial demarcations of Jim Crow segregation. Prior to the First World War, the German Empire maintained a formidable position in the stimulant trade, operating African colonies while its domestic pharmaceutical giants dominated the global refinement of cocaine. The Treaty of Versailles dismantled this network entirely, stripping Germany of its overseas colonies and severing the botanical supply chains that fueled its domestic industry. Territorially constrained and economically humiliated, the state embraced a mandate of absolute self-sufficiency. If the nation could no longer import natural stimulants, its chemical industry would synthesize substitutes in a laboratory. This drive for ersatz, or substitute production, culminated in 1937, when German chemists synthesized a powerful new compound, methamphetamine. Released commercially as Pervitin, the drug replicated the effects of cocaine, suppressing sleep and eliminating hunger, without requiring a single imported leaf or nut. During the Blitzkrieg campaigns of 1940, the military distributed an estimated 35 million Pervitin tablets, attempting to transcend strategic limitations through the mass chemical alteration of its soldiers. For the German state, the loss of its organic empire forced a radical redirection of its industrial capacity, bending its scientific expertise toward a synthetic future that prioritized national resurgence over human safety. In the end, the United States successfully domesticated its colonial extracts behind a capitalist facade, while Germany weaponized its deprivation into a brief, catastrophic military hegemony. Neither historical model was benign. Both societies perverted pharmacology to serve either the exclusion of racialized citizens or the ambitions of a totalitarian state. The patterns established by this bifurcation still define our present. from the racialized enforcement of drug laws to the continuing tension between organic and synthetic commodity chains in global capitalism. The classic American beverage and the German combat pill are not opposites, but rather a pharmacological mirror, reflecting how deeply the human pursuit of chemical energy is manipulated by the reach of state power.